Hello, welcome back to my channel. Yes. Sorry that we're a bit late. I would blame Connect, but this time it is actually my fault. So, hello, Connect. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about all the latest news over the past week because it's safe to say it's been kind of nuts.
So I wasn't home in the last 3 hours, and I do believe some news dropped that I saw on Twitter while I went to send you the link. Was there any new news while I was gone?
Forest are now after Rico Lewis. Fabrizio and Jack Gorn have come out with it. So yeah, it looks like Rico could potentially be on the way out.
I would not mind that at all. I've got some prepared topics as I plan to do this as a season preview stream. But I think we'll talk about Rico Lewis before I'll talk about my topics that I've prepared. I don't mind Rico Lewis leaving because we've already got 4 club-trained players. Foden, Bob, Trafford, and who am I forgetting? O'Reilly, thank you. So we've got 4 club-trained players, which is what we need for Champions League. You need 8 homegrown, and 4 of them have to be club-trained at least. Okay. You can have as many club-trained players as you want, but you need to have at least 4. So we already have 4 without Rico Lewis. So if we're holding on to him just for homegrown, we kind of don't need to. We've already got Bettinelli for a homegrown player who's association trained. And I'm trying to think quickly about Scott. We do have Stones and Aki still in there.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but we could have better players in there for sure. But Stones and Aki are going to be here for the season, which they do make up that quota for us. So homegrown, it's not really a problem anymore. It's more so not homegrown, which I'll get to in a second. But we don't need to keep Rico Lewis. There's really no point. And I don't think he's good enough. I'm not sure about you. Luke says in midfield sometimes about Rico Lewis. I still don't think he's good enough, to be honest, to play in midfield. I don't know. I think with Rico Lewis, yeah, he's an okay midfielder. But at Man City, you need to be more than okay.
Yeah, he's like you said, he's decent. He's fine. He's a decent player, and I think if he does leave, I think he could go elsewhere, and I think he could be really good. I think he'll always be in the Premier League, and I think he will just be. I just think he'll do a decent job wherever he goes. But as for his place at City, yeah, he's clearly not like top level. He's had some decent performances here and there, but yeah, he's clearly not the toppest of levels. The rumoured fee, City apparently value him at over 30 million. So it's not bad, especially for a homegrown player that's going to be just profit. Yeah, I think he's fine. And in midfield as well, we've got, in my opinion, various better options, or at least on par options. Reinders is obviously better. Rodri's injured, but when he's back, he's an option. Gonzalez, O'Reilly, that's 4 off the top of my head who aren't unks.
I mean, if we're going to talk about Rico Lewis in midfield, he's not physical enough to be a 6. No. He can't play as a 6. He's not physical enough. He's not creative and attacking enough to be a 10. He's technical enough, but I don't think he has the vision to be a 10. So in midfield, he can play as an 8, and exclusively as an 8, in my opinion. Now, if you're looking at that 8 spot, you're going to have O'Reilly there. You're going to have Reinders there. Nico Gonzalez is going to play there. Bob is going to play there from time to time. Foden.
Yeah.
He doesn't get in.
We're just stacked, and that's not even accounting for Kova, Gundo, Bernardo, who I know we all have our feelings on them, but there's all those who probably have higher favour in terms of Pep's mind over Rico too. So,
but yeah. even then, yeah, when Kovacic leaves, when Gundogan leaves, these are the guys that will be replaced.
Yeah.
Rico Lewis won't be their replacements. We'll go sign new players for those replacements. Nipan, for example, who's being loaned out to, was it Middlesbrough?
Middlesbrough, yeah.
Yeah, Middlesbrough. I don't know, if he has a killing season at Middlesbrough, he could be coming back, and then he needs to play 2 or 3 good games, and suddenly he's the starting player, and we're not even talking about signing someone new, which we probably will if 2 of our midfielders leave, because Pep loves midfielders. He loves to have more midfielders than any outfield other group of outfield players combined. So he just doesn't get in. He really doesn't. That's no slag on his ability, yeah. But I'll be honest, Ødegaard would not get on a Man City bench, and he's a starter. He's the captain of Arsenal. You won't get on our bench. To get in a Man City midfield, you need to be really special.
Yeah, and like you said, Pep loves midfielders. Like you said, like he loves to have a ton of them, and we've always had like a good set of midfielders. I know last season was probably an exception, but you know, we used to be running David Silva and De Bruyne, and even Rodri was a part of that midfield for one season, even if he wasn't quite up to scratch. But before Rodri, it was Fernandinho, and there's more in there too. Yaya Toure. We've always had stacked midfielders, and right now, thanks to our summer, we do as well. And yeah, there just isn't a place, like you said. Physicality has always been an issue for me. I've always been saying he needs to go to the gym with Diaz or something just to buff up a bit. And he's probably gotten a bit beefier, but he's not that big, and he's very easily muscled off the ball. You know, when he's got the ball at his feet, he's able to go on a run. He's very good, and he can play a pass, not too bad either. Like, he doesn't often lose the ball on a short pass, but yeah, you just can't. Like I said, you can't do like physical clashes, and that's where he really falls short for me, because we've got multiple midfielders who can hold their own in a physical clash.
You know what's even more of a problem? It's his lack of versatility, because tell me if you disagree, but I feel like a lot of people talk about his versatility. I don't think he has any. On the wings, I think he's average. At right back, I think he's poor. I'm not going to put him centre back. Let's not even go there. In midfield, I think the only play he can play is in the 8, because you can't be a 6 if you're short and weak. I'm sorry, if you're short and weak, you're never going to be a 6 in a Pep system. He can't play the 10. He doesn't have the vision. Okay, that can come, sure, but right now he doesn't have it. So he's exclusively an 8. And maybe a poor right back if you're desperate. That's not the versatility that you need to be a Pep midfielder either. And we're not even talking about quality here. I think this is a player who's going to be much happier to go play for a club like Crystal Palace or Brentford or something like that, where he can do more with the ball in his feet, and where he can be asked of to do less physical work, which you will be asked to do at Man City.
Yeah, I think in games that are a bit more open is probably where he probably has his best football, at right back and at midfield, because it's not as much pressure. But when it's a physical game, counter-attacking, he will struggle when there's not much space. You know, when there is space though, he's very good. But we play in a league that every team that comes to us, about 90% of them will probably sit back and probably try counter us, which is only natural. We have to deal with that, but it sadly just doesn't quite work for Rico. Whilst I think he would be decent in a different team, like you said, a Brentford, a Palace, a Forest, as it's currently looking like.
Yeah. Maybe I should have flattered that.
Yeah. But yeah, I hope he goes elsewhere and does well. But yeah, I think this move will go through. Hopefully, we can get. It depends where we really value him, because he's played 3 seasons in the Pep team. He's played a lot of minutes in that time as well. Hasn't played brilliantly throughout most of it, but he's played his fair share of minutes. We've sold Cole Palmer for 40 million, who hardly...
He'll definitely go for the more.
Yeah, Cole Palmer hardly played football for us. McAtee, who has basically hardly played football for us last season. Last season doesn't barely count.
He played some football, but he's also just not at the same level, I think, as Rico Lewis and Palmer.
Yeah, he's just not. They're just not there. He's just not at the level. And the good thing is, though, if there are some Rico fans that really don't want to lose him, the likelihood is just that we're probably going to get a buyback clause in this. We got one for McAtee, so we'll probably have similar negotiations and try and get one in there for Rico too.
I'm going to immediately rain on your parade. So if you're a Rico Lewis fan, if you put in a buyback clause and Rico Lewis goes there, does well at Nottingham Forest, we're still going to have Rangers, and O'Reilly is still going to be here, and we're going to have Nico Gonzalez, and Rodri will be back then. Not just back from ACL, Rodri will be back fully at that point. We're going to have Sherky and Foden and Bob. Bob is going to have another season to prove himself. And we're going to sign players, because we keep signing. Pep said it last season, you need to keep moving, keep getting new players, keep changing. That's the mistake they made. Pep said it himself. The mistake I made was I stopped moving. That's why everyone caught up to me. So what are they going to do? They're going to keep moving, keep changing things up. So honestly, Rico Lewis, I want a buyback clause in all these deals as insurance policy, basically. Yeah. But they have to do something insane, which is just very unlikely for us to ever trigger that buyback clause, such as Trafford being the best goalkeeper in the championship statistically in like 6 of the 10 most important statistics. Which, like, if you look at the Premier League, I don't think a single goalkeeper, because the 10 most important statistics that they look at is shots stopped, save percentage, like passes completed, long, like all those statistics. I don't think a single Premier League goalkeeper has ever been number 1 in more than 3 in a single season. You can correct me on that if I'm mistaken, but I mean, being number 1 in 6 different of those statistics, at least from what I've seen, that's insane. Now, okay, it's championship, level is lowered. I know, but that is what it takes for us to trigger a buyback clause, and that this guy, Trafford, could very well be holding bench Donnarumma. So, even though we've triggered that buyback clause, market opportunity over here, let's go get Donnarumma. Now imagine this. Give me an English midfielder, one that's good. Let's say Baleba. Let's say Baleba's contract runs out, or something happens in Brighton, and Baleba has to leave. Let's say something happens. Okay, suddenly, opportunity. What are we going to do? Trigger a buyback clause on Rico Lewis or get Baleba? We will get Baleba if he becomes available. Now, that's a big what if, I know. But that's what is happening with Savio and Rodrigo. Nobody expected Rodrigo to be forced out at this point. But he's being forced out suddenly. And now we're saying, we'd rather have Rodrigo. Savio, you can go to Spurs.
Yeah, it's a real interesting one, but like you said, it's a market of opportunities, really. You know, Aït-Nouri, we would have seen he had 1 year left on his deal, and before Wolves could even really start cracking on a new deal for him, we jumped on that. And you knew the moment we jumped on that, Aït-Nouri wasn't going to sign a deal until he knew what the situation was. There was no way. You know, look at Leon and even Sherky. You know, we knew that there was a bit of unhappiness between the two there, and Sherky wanted out.
Hey, you know what though? PSG and Man City saved Lyon from relegation. Hey, all club to all club, helping cheaters out.
There you go.
They should be thanking us for that Sherky money.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, you know, we got Sherky. You know, we jumped on an opportunity there, and we jumped on it quicker than anyone else. But yeah, we jump on opportunities, especially a little bit more.
It's not just us, by the way. Real Madrid do it with players on a free.
Yeah,
Real Madrid have broken the transfer market with that Mbappe and Trent deal. And a lot of clubs are going to start doing that. A lot of clubs are going to start looking at every opportunity. Look at, for example, Reinders. He had 1 year left on his contract. Or was it 6 months? I don't remember. He did not have long left on his contract. Man City goes in, when they were negotiating a new contract, suddenly Reinders says, yeah, I'm not signing a contract. You better sell me or I'll be dead on a free in a year. I mean, that's what players do now. If you allow them to get down to 1 year on their contract, they will look you in the face and say, you better sell me, or I'm going to run down my contract and I'm leaving on a free, and I'll get a big bonus for that, by the way.
Yeah.
So these players, they absolutely have the upper hand now. So there's going to be so many opportunities, I think, with how the market has changed. I think bigger clubs are going to start bullying a lot more. Like I think there was a few years there where smaller clubs were able to hold on to their players better than usually. But now I think that with how Real Madrid has done what they've done, these players are just going to not accept a big contract. They're just going to say, I want a 1 year contract or a 2 year contract. And then if a big club comes in, they'll go to that big club and you can't do much. It shows with Man City. We got our deals done for cheap. Real Madrid got their deals done for cheap. Liverpool, yeah, they got really expensive deals. But Kerkez, Frimpong, these were cheap deals for really good players. So I just don't think that it's a chance for Rico Lewis. I don't know how certain it is that he'll leave, but if he leaves, I think it's done for him at Man City, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, and I do want to touch on that, like contracts and whatnot, and how clubs really are jumping on that. You know, Real Madrid can basically do it with anyone because they're poor, which is why you really got to be careful. There were rumours that they were trying to do a little bit of Canate from Liverpool near the beginning of the window. They were trying to either sign Canate for 25 mil now, or they'll just get him on a free next summer. They already did it with Trent. They've done it with Mbappe, and they've even done it with obviously before that too a little bit. Rudiger was free, Alaba was free. They've done this with very solid players, and they're going to continue to do so. Like I was advocating on my channel that Donnarumma was going to run his contract down and join Real Madrid next summer. Seemingly not the case now, as he potentially looks to join us, which I'm not complaining about. But yeah, it's a sly tactic, but you can't diss it really, because it's valid to some level. And yeah, clubs do have to be careful. It's probably why Chelsea are trying to pin players down as like big long contracts. Cole Palmer's got like 8 years left on his deal. I think Jackson's got like 7, but he's on the way out. And they're probably going to try and do all the signings they do, even us a little bit. We just put Haaland on 10 years, So it's a real interesting one, how transfer windows are going to work from now on. But yeah, to just finish up on Rico though, yeah, there is minimal hope for him, I feel, in a City team. There's only more talent being added on, and as the summer has shown so far, not too many players have left. Jack Grealish on loan, McAtee's on the way out. We got De Bruyne, obviously, but other than that, I really can't think of anyone else who's on the way out potentially. There are some surprise moves, like obviously Savinho and Edison. That doesn't really affect Rico, so we're only going to be adding to the team whether or not he leaves or not, and it's just going to make it harder and harder for him. So unless he's willing to sit on our bench for the rest of his career, nah, it's best to cash in on him, and now's probably the best time.
Yeah, I was going to say now's probably the last time you can cash in such big money for him as well. If he sits on the bench a few seasons, you won't get that big price for him either.
Yeah.
Big up to Harvey, by the way, who's flying to Wolves today. Watch the game tomorrow. Big up.
Hey.
Because he's from Turkey. Opinion on this guy. Opinion on Andy Gallia saying City wants Olise. Sounds like nonsense. Why would we get Olise?
Yeah, I had it in my chat the other day. Yeah, I think some people got in their head that he's going to be the Slovenia replacement, but number one, Bayern, there's no way Bayern are selling Elise, not the season he just had. I think he got 43 goal contributions, which is more than Doku's had in his two seasons at City.
Forget buying him. Why would we want him?
Yeah, I mean,
Sherky is better than Olise. So Olise is not going to hold the bench. He's not going to come to Man City to hold the bench.
No. He's content at Bayern, it seems, and Bayern are obviously content with him. And plus, I think I just prefer Rodrigo. You know, I feel like there's a bit more of a guarantee that you are signing someone who is top talent. You know,
I think what the problem is with Man City fans, not Man City fans, every fan base, is people don't understand how depth works. When you create a squad, you want to have a bench that is good, and you want to have a starting 11 that's world class. You can't have 2 world class players in every position. You know why? Because by the end of the season, half that squad is gone because they want to play more, and they know they can play more for trophy-winning teams. So depth is not this 2 world class players in every position. Depth is you have a player there that in most teams will start, but isn't quite world class, and you have your world class starter. And if the world class starter is out, you still trust this other guy to come in and play. Let me give you an example. Was Fabian Delph world class?
No.
No, but he was a great player to have because you could put him in midfield, played well. You could put him on left back, played well. He was a great player for depth. That is what depth is. Depth is not you have Sherky and you have Rodrigo and you have Marmoush and you have Foden and you have throw in Vinicius there. That is not depth. That is a battleground every time you're in the dressing room and one of them didn't play.
Yeah.
That is the difference. That is what Real Madrid faced last season. They had Rodrigo, Mbappe, Vinicius. Every time one of them wasn't playing, start a fight. Galacticos, yeah. I mean, Real Madrid has done it so often, it still surprises me that people don't get it. Galacticos don't work. There's never been a Galactico team that's won anything. Like, just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Every time a Galactico team is assembled, they flop. So, I mean, maybe you could say Barcelona with MSN, but even then, if you look at the bench players at Barcelona, they were a huge drop-off from MSN. You just don't... I don't know the sports science behind it, but Galactical teams just don't work. They've been proven not to work. So I don't know. I would rather have Jared Bowen on the bench, I've said before. Because, okay, he's a worse player. Absolutely. But he can play striker. Not false 9. He can play out-and-out striker. He can play left wing, right wing, down the middle. He's homegrown, which means you can go buy a forward and right back if you have to. And he's happy to sit on a bench. You put him on the bench for 3 games and start him the 4th, you'll be happy. You do that to Rodrigo, you'll be kicking toys in the pram. That's the difference. So if we get Rodrigo, I won't cry because he's a great player. But I don't need a squad full of world-class players, do I now?
No, and no team does. You know, like you said, teams like that, they just don't quite work. You know, like you said, you need a good mix of world class, but then you need those players that are very good, like you said, but just aren't quite good enough to be expected to start every game. Like a Jared Bowen. I think Jared Bowen would be a pretty smart one to have as an option. You know, and there's other players that it could be like that too.
Jared Bowen was just an example, by the way. We're not in for him.
No, obviously not. You know, and there's other players that could fill that criteria as well in the Premier League and probably elsewhere in the world too. But
I mean, to come back to Olise though, my point with Olise is I think he's too good to convince him to come to Man City. He'll just say, okay, how much am I starting? Oh, I'm not starting every game? Well, I am at the Bayern, and I'll win the league title every year here.
Yeah.
So why would he want to come? And I don't want him to start over the Cherky.
No.
So what we have to do to convince him to come is you start ahead of Cherky. I don't want to do that. And that's the only way you convince this guy to come. So that was my point there with Olise.
Yeah, at least he's a very good player, and like how he is, he probably gets into most teams in the world. But again, sometimes it just doesn't quite go. It's not like FIFA where you can just sign whoever and they'll be happy to play whatever. But you've got to sign players that are right for your team, players that actually want to fulfill the role that they do.
Pick up the player's performance accountant. I don't know why, but I think that's Mateus for some reason. that seems like a name Mateus would use. If we get Big Donnarumma, and Rodrigo, they could be huge in the Champions League as both shine in those competitions. Sure, but here's the thing with Donnarumma, and I want Donnarumma, by the way. Donnarumma, bro, hallelujah. But no, here's the thing with Pep, though. Pep doesn't care about the Champions League, he cares about the league. That's his bread and butter. He will look at how you play in the league, week in, week out, and then he'll decide, okay, you're my starter, and okay, you're my bench player. So Donnarumma, I don't watch Ligue 1, I'm not going to pretend I do, but what PSG fans tell me is, in the league, he's not consistent. If you're not consistent in the league, Pep will drop you. Because he wants players in the league. And if he can go in a Champions League, that's an extra. The league is his biggest priority. So I don't disagree with you, but that's just not the way I think Pep will play. Which, I mean, is part of my gripe with Pep. I think he's sometimes too focused on the league. But then again, can you really say you're too focused on the league when he's won half of our league titles doing that? Yeah. More than half of our league titles, even. He's got 6 of them, and we've got 10 in total.
Yeah, it does just show there's a method to his madness.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really argue with those numbers, to be fair, can you?
Yeah.
Ain't no way Cherki is better than Olise. Bro, I watched Cherki. I mean, we've all watched Olise in the Premier League. I've watched Cherki a few times after Oliver, came in my chat and said you should watch Cherki. I don't use the word generational lightly. Cherki is generational. Olise is world class, sure, maybe, but is he generational? And what I mean with generational is, will the next generation still talk about him? Olise won't. And let me give you an example, by the way. Let me give you an example. A world class player that the next generation now no longer talks about. Vieira. Not a lot of people still talk about him, do they? Okay, you don't like Vieira, what about Gary Neville? Best defender of his time. Nobody talks about this guy anymore. The only reason people talk about him is because he's a pundit and he's shit at it. Or because he's a terrible manager. Maybe that's why they talk about him. Yeah. Anyhow, it's because he's shit at something. These are world-class players that the current generation no longer talks about. So when I say generational, I'm talking about Maradona. Still talked about today. I'm talking about Pele. Still talked about today. I'm talking about Maldini. Still talked about today. So I'm not saying he's that level. Nowhere near that level. But he is that level where in 20 years from now, when he's retired, people will still talk about him. The same way that people still talk about Zidane. The same way people will still talk about De Bruyne. People won't do that with Olise. Olise is like a Sterling. World class in his time, but the next generation won't talk about him. That is what I mean with generational. That is what I think Cherki is. So I disagree. I disagree. And well, I can't compare them. I can compare who I want. Plus, playing out from the back is not as important for us because everyone sets in a low block against us, clearly presses high. Yeah, but I mean, I agree to some extent, but the only reason they sit in a low block is because if you press Man City, you're committing suicide. So, but playing out the back is very good because if they press us up and they get immediately punished, whoever it is, then they will know we can't press up, and for the next 5 games, everyone is in a low block. But if you're pressing Man City high up and you're winning the ball, and you're getting chances, now people won't be afraid of pressing high up anymore. And there will be one team that will try eventually. So it is still important that we can maintain that ability.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read that out. That's not to us. Man City to finish 4th this year. Listen, I don't know what people are smoking, but if you think Arsenal is finishing ahead of Man City, that's kind of crazy. We've bought a better squad than they have currently with their signings and everything. Anyhow, let's go on to my first actually prepared topic. We've been waffling for a while now about everything except what I prepared. So let's go through these in a flash. How highly do you rate each signing separately, starting with Ait-Nouri?
I actually really like the look of Ait-Nouri. For me, he's been, in terms of my expectations for these players, I think Ait-Nouri's probably been the guy that has impressed me the most. I actually think he's been really solid. I really liked him in the Club World Cup, and I've liked the snippets I've seen along the way as well. I think he looks really, really solid, especially going forward. He looks a lot better than I thought he was going to be. I believe he got... did he get an assist against Al Hilal? I can't quite remember, but he definitely got something.
Yes, to Doku, right?
Yeah.
No, that wasn't Al Hilal. It doesn't matter. He got an assist somewhere.
He got an assist, and it was a good one. It was nice to watch, and I remember this one. It didn't lead to a goal, I don't think, but I remember this really nice bit of play him and Reinders did, linking up, and I just think a bit more of that. I think it could be really good, but I rate him quite highly. I think he's up there with probably the best left backs in the league, especially after last season with Wolves, because he was very good with them. So yeah, I really do rate Ait-Nouri quite highly. I'm excited to see more of him.
I do rate Ait-Nouri in isolation if you're just looking at the player and stuff. But when you then look at you've got no right back, I still think we should have gotten a right back first. But if we're purely focusing on Ait-Nouri here, which is what I set to do, I do rate him very highly. I think he's an elite player, very good with the ball, and his defending is underrated. I think people overstate how bad he is at defending. Is he as good as Kerkez defensively? No. But he's no Mateus Nunes defensively either. So I think people like to overstate that. Next up, Reinders. Now, Reinders, Player of the Year, was it in Team of the Year or something like that in Serie A? I mean, it's going to be difficult to really argue that he's not been a good signing in it.
Yeah, Reinders, for me, I said it back when we signed him. For me, he's going to be like the most important signing for this season for us. I really like Reinders. My expectations are high for him, and I feel like he's hitting those expectations so far. Really showed, I know it was Palermo, but he really showed that ability he has to get into the box and make stuff happen. Against Palermo, he should have had a hat-trick, really. That's beyond the point. He looks so solid. Attacking, just controlling the game. He looks so good. And 50 million for him, think a little under in terms of pounds, will look like an absolute bargain for him in a couple of years. So Reinders, I'm extremely excited to see more of. And he's probably, in terms of the players who've signed so far, probably the player I rate highly, in the highest.
Okay. I think Reinders is is someone we really needed just to get energy in that midfield. Yeah. Because our midfield was dead, bro, just absolutely dead. So we really needed that energy, I think. For the next player, Trafford, like it's the thing here. Trafford, I think, is a player we needed. Same with Reinders. But Reinders is the guy coming in, right? Meanwhile, Trafford is like a player who's coming in, but is he going to start? And Reinders is a player of the season. And then I compare to Trafford. I mean, he was player of the season in Championship, wasn't he? He was goalkeeper of the season. But, I mean, that's Championship. So My thing is here with the Rangers, everything is great about him. You know he's going to start. You just know he's going to start. You know he's good. You see in pre-season what he brings. There's no way to hate on this guy. But then you go to the next player, which is Trafford. First of all, a lot of the fan base don't rate him, which I think is a bit ridiculous when we've had Ederson last season. But second of all, no shades to Ederson. Second of all, I think we are not going to play him a lot, to be honest, now that I look at the situation with Trafford. So what do you think about him?
I like Trafford. I like him a lot. You know, like you mentioned earlier, he had an extremely impressive season in the Championship last season. You know, 16 goals conceded in like 45 games, or however many it is nuts. You know, no, 46. It is like an absolutely crazy record. Even if it is the Championship, even if the quality is lower, that's still like a great number to have to your name. And I'm very excited to see more of him. Now then, I think his situation is a bit weird, because before it was quite clear in my mind. Edison would stay this season, probably be the number one keeper. Trafford pushing him a bit, but eventually season comes to an end. Edison leaves on a free, and then Trafford, ready to now be fully embedded into the squad, takes the number one spot properly.
Now Bettinelli.
Bettinelli.
He's not going to play, is he?
No, he maybe get a pre-season game, or
we've got no more pre-season games.
No, not this season. No.
Maybe you'll get one cup game or something.
Yeah, off the bench in the Champions League, just like Scott Carson all those years ago. Oh, that was great. But yeah, I like Trafford. I just think if we do sign Donnarumma, it's not a bad situation. I just think it's going to be a very interesting one between those two, because they're quite close in age. They're like 3 years apart.
Yeah.
Which is going to be interesting. And, you know, Donnarumma, who's got years in him, like he's got plenty of years in him. I'm very excited to see how those two push each other, because Donnarumma, if he joins, he will have the number one spot. You know, Champions League experience, league experience on a whole, versus Trafford, who's just not quite as experienced in all of those areas. But nonetheless, I like Trafford. I really like the signing for 27 million as well. It's a very good move, and yeah, I'm extremely excited to see what becomes of him.
Yeah, the Brighton fans agree with you.
Yeah. All outside.
Last player, then, I'm not going to bother talking about Bettinelli. Last player, then, that we've actually completed the signing of Cherki. I mean, I just said earlier that I think he's better than Olise. So, I mean, I already did my glazing. I guess it's your turn to glaze him.
I think, for me, I think he's the most exciting player we have in terms of developing. Yeah, I think he looks amazing. That ball he played into Foden against Al was just incredible. You know, Phil Foden, very good finish, but that ball is special. You know, that ball just gets you hyped.
You know what, though? I have an instinct to just glaze this guy. I know what I saw, but you know what, though? There's some Lyon games I watched where he will play that exact same ball 3, 4, 5 times, and nobody will score. Lacazette will get that ball, and he will start his own space program. I swear to God, you want to go to Mars? Fuck Elon Musk. Get Lacazette on here. He knows how to get something in the air. He studied aerodynamics at, I don't know, Oxford or something, yeah? Because I've seen some balls from Cherki. I literally think, it's harder to miss than to score. And Lacazette will find a way. It's like the quote from Jurassic Park, life finds a way. Lacazette finds a way not to score. I'll swear it down, that ball he played to Foden, he came off the bench. I think he played like 10 minutes at that point.
Yeah, they were both off the bench, yeah.
Yeah, they were both off the bench. And Foden actually scored, unlike Lacazette.
Yeah. Yeah, but Shirky's looked amazing. The price tag was brilliant as well. I think the price tag on all the guys we've signed so far has just been great. I think business-wise, I think we've been amazing. But yeah, Shirky, I think he looks so top in terms of the talent he is. Great numbers last season. More numbers than Florian Wirtz, and we signed him for about a third of the fee. No, a quarter even.
Wirtz was injured for half the season, to be fair.
Yeah, true. But nonetheless, he's still got great numbers. I think he got 32 overall goal contributions.
I think he got more in all competitions.
Yeah, you'll double check for me, but I believe it's like 20 assists and 12 goals, I think. But
so I'm checking now. No, I don't care about Club World Cup. Okay, without Club World Cup, he got. Oh, this is actually ridiculous. So he only played 30 games, by the way, in the French league because he was only starting at second half of the season because he was coming off an injury at the start of the season. So he was coming off an injury at the start of the season.
Yeah.
So in the French league, with only 2,000 minutes, which I believe Savio got 2,500 for the City, he got 8 goals, 11 assists, and in Europa League, 4 goals, 8 assists. Club World Cup, nobody cares. And then the French Cup with just 140 minutes, he also got an assist. And if you've been counting, that's a total of 33 goals and assists.
It's crazy numbers. Those are nuts numbers from him. He looks like such a good talent, and I think he's going to be top. The number 10 shirt looks good in him as well. I think he's such an exciting signing, and I even thought, I know it's Palermo, it's Serie B, but I even thought like the runs he was making were really good, and even his link-up play a little bit of Bob was looking really exciting. So I'm super excited to see Shirky in this team more. Again, I think he's the most exciting signing so far. Absolutely.
Honestly, this is kind of boring because I'm just agreeing with everything you say. But it must mean that you've got a good ball knowledge. So maybe onto something we can disagree about then, hopefully. Do you think Savio is getting sold? Because, honest to God, if Spurs come in with 80 million, or I guess 70 million pounds, if they come in with 70 million pounds and we don't sell him, 70 million pounds pays for Rodrigo, yeah?
Yeah.
This guy has to go if Spurs come with that higher offer, and I kind of think they will.
I mean, they already offered about 50 million and we rejected that. And if they come in with 70. So
they first bid was 50 million, rejected. Then they came back with 62 million, rejected. So now the price is probably at 70 million. For Savio.
I think 70 is. I think that's done brilliantly. To be fair, I think 70 million for Savio. No offense to him, I think is really, really good. For a player that couldn't finish to save his life and got I think 11 assists. I think 2 goals, 11 assists for his last season. They aren't the most horrific numbers. It's just that finishing needs to improve no matter where he goes. I think 70 million, we need to, the moment we see Tottenham have offered that, just take it and run. Because I think 70 million is a brilliant offer. It pays for Rodrigo, who's a very good player. And Rodrigo's still at a good age if you're worried about like development and whatnot. Rodrigo's still 24. He's got years ahead of him to improve. He's not even quite in his prime.
He's only 3 years older than Savio.
Exactly.
2 years.
There you go then.
No, 3 years. Sorry.
Yeah. 3. There you go. Yeah, he's got years ahead of him to develop. He's far off his prime, and he's going to have 2 years with Pep to do that as well to further his development. So for me, you absolutely go for it because that money for Savinho for me is brilliant, and you've basically paid for Rodrigo at that point. So if I'm City, absolutely, if Tottenham are willing to offer you 70 million, you 100% take that. You've made your profit, and you're signing. And in return, you're signing one of Real Madrid's top attackers. So just go for it. Just absolutely go for it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, even if it's not Rodrigo, who again, not honestly my top pick, but that's who we're gonna get. Rodrigo is just brilliant. Even if it's not Rodrigo, Savio and Doku are not good enough. Now, I don't mind giving Savio one more year. I really don't. Because if in that 1 year he turns good, great. If he doesn't turn good, okay, sell him, whatever. But the thing is, yeah, if you're telling me 100% Savio goes, you get Rodrigo, or Savio stays and he may or he may not turn good and you don't get 70 million, yeah, I'm taking the certainty, aren't I? So it looks like the club has pretty much everything wrapped up with Rodrigo as well. So I don't see a good reason why not to want Savio, honestly. Rodrigo. I see a lot of people say, yeah, it is or that, and I get it. I'd prefer someone else than Rodrigo for squad reasons. But I mean, Martin, for example, Martin makes this argument, and I agree. I agree that Rodrigo isn't the best player to get, but I'd rather have the certainty of Rodrigo than the uncertainty of what will Savio's level be next season. I think it's that simple sometimes. And if it doesn't work out, oh well. But I think that has a better chance of working out, and at least for 1 season. So how likely do you think it is, by the way, that he leaves? Because I think he will. I think he will leave.
I think he's going to leave. I think, I think the club, I think his response, he would have probably seen that Tottenham were in for him. Okay, he probably would have been like, oh, okay, bit of a shock. But then he probably would have also seen how quickly we were like, okay, let's think about getting Rodrigo now. Probably kind of saw how quickly we wanted to move. Probably maybe didn't feel like super like included almost, or super part of it, almost expendable. Which I do think Sevilla is expendable. I do think you can replace him. So he probably saw that and was like, I'm probably going to be valued higher at a different club, and he probably is seeing Tottenham as that team. And yeah. And just to mention what you said, the certainty of Rodrigo and the uncertainty of Savinho, the big thing is about this season, if we do have Savinho, he cannot miss the chances he missed last season. He had so many big opportunities. I could picture them in my head, and he missed so many of them. It was unbelievable. Some absolute sitters that he didn't even hit the target on.
By the way, next season, because last season we played without wingers, out wide a bit more. I think next season our wingers are going to tuck inside a lot more, which means you're going to have to be in that central area a lot more. Not as much taking on your fullback, more so in that central area, playmaking, getting into the box and taking your shots, while the fullbacks do that wing play. So I think it gets even worse for him. I mean, of course, I'm not going to tell you what the system is next season. That's just what I think we'll play like. But in reality, none of us know. But if we play the way I think we will play next season, I think that's even more to the deficit of a Savio and a Doku as well. But, I mean, Doku has to go as well, I think. But here's the difference, right? Savio is good enough to be wanted by clubs like Spurs, but not good enough to be a Man City starter. While Doku is not good enough to be wanted by big clubs. I think that's where the difference lies. So, Savio getting sold now, by the way. Same thing with, you said this earlier about Rico Lewis. This is the moment when you're going to get the most money for him. If Savio is not playing next season because he's not good enough, you're not going to get as much money for him. So this is the moment to sell him.
Yeah, there is no better opportunity, especially the money Spurs are offering. I think they're offering really good money for him. 70 million. I'll gladly take that. And yeah, it just works. And I want him to go elsewhere, and I want him to absolutely do well. Okay, as long as he still maintains that poor shooting when he faces us at the Etihad on Saturday next week. I swear, if he scores a brace on us at the Etihad, I'll actually be questioning where those boots were last season. But man, I like Savinho. I think he's decent, but it's an opportunity. We spoke about opportunities in the market earlier. This is an opportunity to go get a real top player from Real Madrid, and the deficit of that is losing Savinho, and I'm willing to do that trade. I feel so.
Yeah. But now Savio will not score a brace at the Etihad or against Man City in general because of Big Don. How likely do you think we get Donnarumma? Big up the deal, by the way, who does say Rodrigo and Donnarumma will elevate and strengthen our team. That's a fact. I think we can't argue with that, can we?
No, it's such an upgrade. From Edison, who's been on the decline since treble season massively, to Donnarumma, highly ranked as one of the best goalkeepers in the world last season, if not the best. Tremendous upgrade. Last season, Savinho, developmental winger, joining the team, still with a lot of years to develop, or a Champions League proven Rodrigo. It's a huge upgrade, and like you said, you can't argue that. You can argue whether it's the right players or not. That argument is there to be had, but yeah, you can't argue that on the upgrade that it is, even if it is maybe a bit harsh on Savinho. I like to give wingers 2 seasons because I feel like wingers are one of the harder positions to embed into as a City player, and so I'm always like, okay, first season can be a bit bumpy, it's normal. Second season though, that's where you start cooking. Didn't really happen for Doku, but I was willing to let Savinho have that chance this season. But doesn't really look like he's going to get it. He was left out of the Wolves team due to injury, supposedly.
Injury.
Yeah, the same as Edison. It's very coincidental. But yeah, we'll see how they go. I think we're going to get both. I think the Rodrigo one's probably going to drag out a bit longer. I think that one could very well be.
I think it's the Donnarumma one that will drag on because.
Oh yeah, actually I agree.
Because I think with Rodrigo, he's being forced out. And when Savio leaves, because Spurs need to get their business done as well. Thomas Frank came into Spurs. They immediately fired their old CEO, got a new one. That they gave Thomas Frank the keys, and he's not going to sit around and do what Spurs used to do. And I'll prove it, yeah? They got Kudus. They technically got Gibbs White with Premier League involvement, and that deal didn't go through. But they tried to. They're going for Savio, and they're going for someone else. I forgot who. Eze. They're going for Eze. Yeah. Spurs right now is operating in a way that they've never done before. Because they won a trophy. Daniel Levy said, you know what, I want to keep winning trophies. Thomas Frank, you come here, you show me how, and I'll do as you say. That's what Spurs is doing. Thomas Frank says, I want this guy, he'll get this guy. Except the Gibbs White. So I think he will get Savio. I think he will get Eze. And I think that deal will be done soon. Because the moment Savio is sold, you go to Real Madrid, 80 million euros. Here you go. You want 10 million extra? Okay, here, you have 10 million extra. And you get Rodrigo. That's easy. But you look at Donnarumma dealing with PSG. That's a different story entirely. I don't like dealing with PSG because you know why I don't like dealing with PSG?
Go on.
Because they're like us. They're annoying. They're very annoying. We do this as well. We haggle for every penny, but they do the same thing, don't they? So it's like fighting yourself, isn't it? It's like you're fighting yourself. I don't like dealing with them. It's fun when we do it, but not when it gets done to us. So I think that one is going to drag on a lot, especially if Trafford puts in a good performance against Wolves.
Yeah, it's gonna be a real one because City we're quite clear that we don't want to pay tons of Donnarumma because of his contract situation. But I saw Fabrizio posted that Donnarumma, PSG are hoping for 40 to 50 million for him, which is, I mean, whether they're right or wrong to want that fee. Yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing to want that. City said they aren't willing to pay that, and so I think the plan is to just test PSG's resolve and see how long they hold that price, because after the deadline day, suddenly Donnarumma is going to be a free man come January unless there's a complete U-turn at the club. So it's going to be a really, really interesting one to see that saga. Yeah, I think both will drag out a bit, but yeah, I do think Donnarumma is probably going to be one closer to deadline day. I'm thinking Rodrigo's probably done I want to say a day before the Spurs game or a couple of days after. It really depends on Savinho. That's the thing that we're waiting for the most. We're waiting for Here We Goes on Savinho and Ederson. Once we hear those, we'll definitely hear more movement. That's the real thing that needs to just get the ball rolling.
Also, I didn't say this, but I think Savio will be easier to sell than Ederson.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you had to pick just one or the other, Donnarumma or Rodrigo, who do you get?
Oh, gosh. I think I maybe go for. I think I will just barely give it to Rodrigo.
Okay. Why?
My one thing is, basically my reason for Rodrigo is again the uncertainty of Savio. But the thing is with the goalkeeper situation, I love Donnarumma, but I'm also fine. Well, maybe not so much fine. I think James Trafford's going to be a good keeper, and if he eventually does become our number one, I believe I'll be confident in him being our number one. And I believe if Trafford can have some good games in the earlier parts, because if this Ederson injury, quote unquote, is actually real, then we know Trafford's going to play tomorrow. Okay, unless Ortega gets to start, but I don't think he will. Trafford will start tomorrow. He could potentially start against Spurs. And then, depending on how that Ederson transfer is going, he'll start against Brighton. Those are 3 big games for Trafford to prove himself to me. Now, if Trafford plays poor in those games and neither of those deals are through, I'm saying we get Donnarumma. But right now, I have faith in Trafford. In my season preview with This Is City on his channel, I predicted that James Trafford would be the young player of the season for us, not the whole Premier League. Yeah. That was my boldish prediction, and so I've got faith that Trafford's going to be really good for us. But again, if he fails to prove it in these few weeks and has me nervous, then yeah, I'd much rather Donnarumma. But right now, I think I would rather the certainty of Rodrigo over Savinho.
I would actually take Donnarumma because I think our defense is a bigger problem than our attack. But yeah. And I think there's also some uncertainty with Trafford. But I don't really disagree with any of your arguments. I think it's just a priority thing for me. I think defense is a bigger priority. But I think we both have the same logic here. It's just I think that our defenses are bigger worry than our attack right now. Pep will play Rodri tomorrow. That's a risk. Hope he plays Gonzalez. I mean, he should not be playing Rodri. I'm sorry. He got injured in that Club World Cup game. Do not start this guy first game of the season against Wolves. All due respect, but it's Wolves. With all due respect, we don't need Rodri to start that game. Anyhow, we are playing against Wolves tomorrow, though. So you know what? I'll first do the last transfer question. Because we do still have one not homegrown player too many. Who do you think is being left out of the Champions League squad or is being sold? Because we do still have one too many.
So, okay. I'm just trying to think of the team.
So currently we have Gundogan, Kovacic, Gonzalez, Doku, Savio. If he leaves, he'll be replaced with Rodrigo, so same story. Ederson, if he leaves, he'll be replaced with Donnarumma. Akanji, Husanov, who does count as not homegrown in Champions League. And you've got Nunez, Silva, if I not said that already, Haaland, Sherky, Rodri, Reinders, Marmouche, Nouri, Vardiol, Diaz. I believe that's all of them.
It's probably, if I had to pick if it's between three, because I got three in my mind, it's probably between either Kusanov, probably Nico Gonzalez, no Pep, and probably Doku, maybe. I think Doku's safe. It's probably between those two, though. Those are the most uncertain. Those two are the January signings that haven't really been utilised as much as we probably like. Probably between those, if I had to pick it one way, I'd probably say Kusanov maybe gets left out.
Well, apparently, Man City wants Gundogan and Akanji to leave, so I'm not sure how true that is. But, I mean, big up to Kouster, by the way, who finds this very funny, but Pep and Gundogan are friends. So, I think Gundogan will find a way into that squad. If it is true that Akanji is being forced out, again, I'm not sure how true that is, then I would reckon Akanji will miss out, because it will be like, oh, you want to stay? Okay, you're not going to play Champions League, but left out of the squad. I think that's the biggest goalie message you can send. So I reckon it would have to be Akanji, to be honest. Or maybe that's just me hoping, rather than thinking. We do that hopium sometimes, don't we?
Yeah.
But it's all right, because that was the last topic for the transfers. I do still have some topics, so first of all, who's going to be out right back against Wolves?
Probably Nunez, I believe. Probably going to be Nunez.
No Husanov right back?
Nah, I saw a post yesterday, I think, saying that Pep has apparently picked his three right back options to be Nunez, John Stones, and Akanji. So it's probably one of those three. And I think
Nunez, Slowpoke. I'm talking about Pokemon Slowpoke, if you know him.
Yeah, I know.
And Hospital FC. So we got a player from Clinic International. Red Cross. Bro, he plays for the Red Cross, you know. You got Slowpoke. And you got Nunez, a midfielder. This is going to make me depressed, bro. Give me a $1,000 bill. I think that's going to make me less depressed. Is Nico Gonzalez going to play, though? Because a lot of people say playing with back to goal is a problem for Nico Gonzalez. I disagree. But let's just assume that. Will he play against Wolves? Because I think he has to, but that doesn't necessarily mean he will.
I did my predicted 11 earlier, and I did not have him in it. I think the pivot's probably going to be Reinders and Bernardo. I think Pep will start as captain in his first game. So, yeah, he's probably not going to be there. No, not starting, at least.
Yeah, that's fair, but for me, he just has to. I think your argument is sound, but talking about what you have to do rather than what probably will happen, if Nico Gonzalez, let's say you don't like Nico Gonzalez receiving the ball with his back to play. Let's say you don't like that. Let's Reinders do it. You have someone right next to him who can do it just fine. So if you don't like how Nico Gonzalez does it, let Reinders do it. And you still have Nico Gonzalez who can stay back or Reinders pushes up to handle that transition. And to stay back a bit more, distribute the play, to put balls into the box from deep and stuff. So even if you don't trust him with his back to play, which again I don't agree with, but even if, I don't think it's a problem because you can just put Reinders next to him and say, "Hey, Reinders, can you pick up the balls from deep, please?" And now I think Pep will do something diabolical. I think he's going to play Reinders. I think he's going to play Silva in midfield. And he's going to do either Rodri or Gundogan. It's going to be one or the other. It's going to depend on how fit Rodri is. Honestly, I don't want Rodri to start against Wolves. I really don't. I think it's just waste to risk him against Wolves. But if Gundogan starts, and we've seen that exact midfield already, by the way, against Al Hilal, Reinders, Gundogan, Silva was the exact midfield.
It can't run, in my opinion. I just don't think it quite gels. Like, it can do it for a bit, as we saw against Al Hilal, but I think Reinders will be doing the bulk of the running around. I know Silva's always been a bit of an engine for us, but he's not got that as much anymore. Reinders will be doing the bulk of the running around, and you saw against Al Hilal, after a while, Reinders was done. Reinders was tired, man. And you can hardly blame him when he's playing with a 34-year-old and one of the ranked slowest players in the league last season.
The slowest player.
Yeah, there you go then. You know, Bernardo was ranked the slowest player.
No, the slowest midfielder, I think. I think there was a centre back slower, but like the slowest midfielder.
There you go then. You know, when he's running around with that, like, of course he's going to be tired after about 60 minutes. But if he's playing with, I don't know, Bernardo himself and I know he's got Shirky or Foden ahead of him. Probably Shirky more likely because Phil Foden is recovering after a small knock.
Yeah.
So if he's playing with that though, you've got Shirky who's obviously got that energy. Obviously Shirky and Gundo are very different players, but Shirky, he will provide energy. And Bernardo will also give you energy, just not quite on the levels they're used to. So I think that is probably the safest bet in terms of Pep's mind from midfield. I don't want to see Rodri there. No way. You know, we were hearing it could be like mid-September for him to be fully fit again. If you want to play him, then give him like 10 minutes at the end when we're chilling. You know.
Yeah, and if you want to start him against Spurs, don't give him any minutes against Wolves. None. Maybe 5 minutes at the end and stoppage time. But if you want to start him against Spurs, you just got to build him up. Then again, you could argue, but match fitness. But one game is not going to be enough match fitness anyway. So I would just say don't start him in the first 2 games. Bring him off the bench. Honestly, bring him off the bench until September. Then in September, you can start 1 game, on the bench 1 game, start 1 game, on the bench 1 game. And then by October, you can fully get into it. Of course, we don't know everything that the medical team does, but I mean, it will be ridiculous to start him against Wolves, I think. We both agree on that. So, last question about Wolves. What does our starting 11 look like? Predicted, not what you want, but predicted starting 11 against Wolves. Because I think what you see on the first day of the season is going to tell you a lot about the entire season. Now, I'm going to do without Rodri. I'm just going to assume without Rodri. And that will be left back. I mean, I ignore it. Then Gvardiol is injured for the Wolves. Don't forget that. So it will be Diaz Husanov, probably. Then Nunez right back. Goalkeeper will be Trafford. Midfield is going to be difficult, but I will predict Reinders, Gonzalez, I'm praying, Sherky, or Silva. I guess Silva will be in midfield. And then Sherky and Marmoush on the wings. And yeah, Haaland up top. So that's what I'm assuming. Now, if Rodri is playing, it will be for Gonzalez. What do you predict?
Did my predicted 11 earlier, so I'll stick with that and share that here. Obviously, Trafford in goal. Left back, Nuri. Right back, Nunes. I went for, in terms of this is what I want, this is what I think it will be. I went for Diaz and Akanji as my centre backs. I just think Pep's going to roll with that. I think he likes that partnership to some level. And I don't think he'll play Stones just yet, not after playing last week with Ake as well. So I just think he's going to treat those guys a little bit more carefully, especially with Spurs around the corner, which is probably going to want some of his better players for. So I think he's going to go Diaz Kanji, although I'd love to see Kusanov. Pivot, I've revealed that already with Reinders and Bernardo. And at 10, I went Shirky. On the left, I went Marmoush. Now then, this is probably a bit more of something I want, but I went for Bob on the wing. Unlikely, but I really like those two, that being Shirky and Bob against Palermo, and I would love to see that again. And of course, I went Haaland up top. So, yeah, probably a little bit of a little wrong on the wing front, but why not?
Stop coping. Unction loading. Liverpool crying about handball already. What about Palace 2 handballs?
Oh, gosh.
Big up to D Great, by the way. Blue Friday show. Love that title. City Till I Die. Big up. How are you?
Hey, let's go.
Yeah, Blue Friday show. My title suggestion. I came up with it. Give me a lot of praise, please. No, I'm joking. But do be liking and subscribing if you haven't already. And I mean, Teal is talking here about Liverpool. That was actually my last topic, but let's do it second to last. Why not? Liverpool. Do you think we are better than Liverpool? As we are. So I'm going to go through it one by one. Goalkeeper. As we are, do you think we've got a better goalkeeper than Alisson?
No.
Yeah. Defense. I mean, our defense is not better than Liverpool's, is it?
No, we don't have a right back. You know, you can debate Kirkers and Aït-Nouri. Liverpool's centre backs. I mean, maybe if you want to throw Joe Gomez in there, we have a chance, but it's obviously Van Dijk and Konate. And yeah, I think no. Yeah,
and by the way, for the people who say injuries, we can have injuries too. And if Gvardiol is injured, Pep will play Diaz Akanji. He won't play Diaz Kusanov. So yeah, I hear it with injuries, but that's a two-way street, isn't it? So yeah, defense I just think we're nowhere near. Midfield I think is the most interesting because I think with Rodri, with Reinders, with Sherky in that midfield, I think those three, our midfield is just well cleared. But Rodri is going to be a fitness question all season. Nico Gonzalez is going to be a question if he plays. Sherky is going to be a question: is he a 10? Is he a right winger? What is he? So I don't know. I think we have the players to have a better midfield, but I don't think we'll have a better midfield, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I think on paper, you know, if you just go in, these guys are fully fit and whatnot, I think it is us. I think our starting midfield is probably a tad more balanced than Liverpool's as well, because I still think, as weird as it may sound, considering how good Gravenberch was, I still think they probably do need a better sixth option. Not better than Gravenberch, he was amazing last season. But I think they just need a bit of help. Like you saw at the end of last season, Gravenberch was struggling. But other than Gravenberch in the six, I know they've got Endo, but like I've hardly seen him play.
Just a heads up, by the way, in chat, Man City plays Wolves, not Bournemouth. Just a heads up.
Wow. Yeah. So, but then other than Gravenberch, at the six, they're very much a midfield of attacker midfielders. Like they've got Curtis Jones, who's an 8, but I don't think he's like spectacular. Wirtz is obviously a 10. So Bosley's a 10. McAllister, I'd say, is more of a 10. But I do think he's obviously a good 8 as well. Harvey Elliott's a 10 that like hardly played last season. So I think they're very attacking, which isn't necessarily bad for Liverpool. You know, they're going to be goals galore probably. But I just think ours is a bit more well-rounded. You've got a top DM when fit, Rodri. You've got Reinders, who is obviously a top player. And then you've got Shirky, assuming at the 10. And if you haven't got him, you've got Foden, who's a solid 10 as well when playing at his best. So I think we probably have the better style midfield. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. But in practice though,
yeah.
I do think we'll have a bit worse.
Yeah.
Or at the very least equal. Let's say equal, just for the sake of it.
I can go equal, yeah.
So then attack, I mean, I don't think it's an argument about attack. Now, I'm going to compare players in quality, not players in position. But who's the best attacker for Liverpool? It's Salah, right?
Yeah.
Haaland is better than Salah. That's no argument. Oh, he only scored 45 goals last season. He had a terrible season. Okay, Nate. By the way, just a heads up, 45 goals is better than the best season of most strikers ever. Let me put this in context. Thierry Henry's best ever season was 52 goals. All competitions. That includes international. That's Thierry Henry's best ever season. Haaland's, he's a terrible striker season. It's 45 goals. So I'm not going to do this. Salah is better than Haaland thing. He's not. Even Salah is a GA merchant. So I heard people saying Haaland is a tapping merchant. Salah is a GA merchant. So, I mean, I think it's stupid to say you're not GA merchant. You're bring something important.
Yeah.
But if we're going to have that argument about Haaland, don't bring me Salah. At the very least. So, Haaland is better than Salah in quality. Then, I mean, who is going to be in their front line? I guess Ekitike.
Yeah.
And Gakpo, I guess.
Yeah, no Luis Diaz. No.
I think it will be Gakpo. Do you think Luis Diaz will play ahead of Gakpo?
Luis Diaz is left.
Yeah. He's going to Biden, hasn't he?
Yeah, I wonder how he's doing that.
Bro, that's proper funny, isn't it? Imagine being Bayern München and you're buying a bang average winger from Liverpool. I guess it's only really Gakpo, isn't it?
Yeah, Gakpo. And Ekitike, but that's it.
Yeah, so Sherky is better than Gakpo, and Marmoush is better than Ekitike.
Yeah.
So because they were both from Frankfurt, and Marmoush was the better player at Frankfurt. So there's no debate over the front three. And I think our front three is more fluid. So attack, I mean, I don't think there's an argument about attack. I think we've got the best attack in the league, arguably in the world.
Yeah, our attack is stacked. You know, like I said, Haaland, who a bad season for him is 45 goals, which is just wild. Marmoush, who was unbelievable last season.
By the way, Liverpool is playing Bournemouth now.
How are they doing?
Yeah, someone in chat just told me that they're playing. So I am wondering how they are playing.
It's 0-0 right
now. It's 0-0, okay. But big up to Great for telling me that. I was hoping on a Liverpool loss here, but I guess we can't be too greedy. Liverpool look mid-though, says Steele. So I guess he's watching that game. I don't know. I don't want to be too quick to judge here after one game. Man City looked great after the first 5 games last season. It's after that it went south. So I don't want to be too quick to judge. I hope Liverpool lose, all of us. Stade de Reims is relegated to League 2. Weren't they mid-table? Did they have some like FFP thing or something?
Sorry. Who? Sorry.
Stade de Reims. I don't know how to.
Oh yeah. What about them? Sorry, I start daydreaming a little bit.
I believe didn't they finish mid-table last season? Oh! They had a relegation playoff. Oh, I guess they lost that. I didn't realize they were that low yet. They finished 16th, which is a relegation playoff in a league.
Yeah, relegation playoff. That's an interesting. Yeah.
We need relegation playoffs. That'll be so banging. Imagine.
Oh my lord, Tottenham would have been in that, bro.
Hey. No, imagine Tottenham is playing with whoever the fuck from the championship for the relegation. That'll be banging. Man United could have gotten relegated with a bit of luck. Man United will still get relegated.
Yeah.
Give them a 100-point deduction. Man City cheated. 100-point deduction to Everton, but it will be given to Man United for I don't know, environmental reasons. They're building too many stadiums. Anyhow, that was completely off topic. Right, as you were saying, I think we've got a better attack than Liverpool. But other than that, I think their midfield is better or the same. I think their defense and goalkeeper is better. I think their depth is better because they've got younger players on that bench who've got more energy to give. So I don't think we're winning a league title ahead of them, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a tough one. You know, Liverpool have obviously got doubts. You know, people are saying, "Oh, injuries to the defense and whatnot, they could fall." That happens to everyone. You know, injuries will affect all and every squad. You know, we've got to be careful with certain players this season. You know, Vardy played an unbelievable amount of minutes last season for us, so we've got to watch his minutes. You know, so you know, injuries can affect everyone. And yeah, if Liverpool have an injury-ridden season, then yeah, Liverpool will probably fall away and someone else might get in there. But for me, I like to look at title races in the squads that they have. And I think right now, if Liverpool keep this team fit the whole way through, I think they're going to be sound. I think they're going to be fine. As much as it pains me to say that, I don't like to say that. Especially because the one wrinkle in their team I saw was probably their defense, not because it's bad, but because they were quite thin in centre backs. They've obviously watched my streams and I thought connects right, and now they're signing 2 centre backs. So I've indirectly helped Liverpool out with that, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, you know what's another thing, yeah? Big up to Teal, by the way. I'm guessing Teal is watching the game. Liverpool fan racially abusing the menu, but you've got Konate in your own team. Like it's not funny, but it's so pathetic. You almost laugh, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just nuts, isn't it?
Some people are proper stupid. I can't lie. Big up to the racists, I guess. That's a joke. Don't get offended. The guys who race with a car, racists. Yes. No, but okay. Let's talk about title race here to round up. I think we'll be in there until about March, and then I think we'll drop off a bit because, well, not drop off, but I think we'll be too far behind by March to catch up. Even though we'll probably play perfectly from March onwards. My thing is, if we go get Donnarumma, I think we're in there. I think we're in there to actually win it. But as we are right now, today, as we're doing this stream, I don't think so yet. But my prediction is we get Donnarumma and he stays fit, we win the Premier League. That is my honest prediction.
It's a wonderful prediction. Yeah, I think Donnarumma really does elevate us because, you know, it's more than just like people. I see some people like sometimes say, obviously everyone knows that Ederson's dropped off a bit, but a lot of people say that the issue is bigger than Ederson. Yeah, the issue is bigger than Ederson. But when you look at some of the things he was doing last season, it is truly bonkers. I will never forget that Feyenoord game. What was he doing, man? Like, I know that was Champions League, but it was still nuts. And he's had plenty of noticeable stuff in the Premier League too. And also, he only played 26 games in the Premier League last season as well. So all those memories that you might have of errors by Ederson last season, he only played 2/3 of it. You know, if he plays the whole thing, there may be even more. But with Donnarumma, a keeper that's a bit more assured, a keeper that is better, there's a lot more confidence.
I mean, when people say the issue is bigger than Ederson, I agree, but part of that issue has already been solved with midfield. We finally got Nofil back. Okay, we still need a right back. I agree, but we've already solved part of those issues that were besides Ederson. It's now just on Pep to play the correct lineups. You get Donnarumma in there to add you a fail safe, I guess, when Pep does something weird. I think you're picking up points where you don't deserve to pick up points. And I think that's the difference from last season. Last season, when we didn't deserve to win, we did not win. I think if you have in Donnarumma, you will win games that you have no right to win. I think that's the difference.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what champions do. Champions... Well,
opium again in chat.
It's top-level mentality there, you know. Champions will find a way to win games that, like I said, they don't deserve to win. Right? We did it plenty of times in previous seasons, but, you know, we would grab a goal and we would manage to hang on. And that was just something we did. That was something we're good at. But obviously there's been a drop-off in quality and we can't do that anymore. Not as much, at least. You know, like you said, we saw it so many times. Like the Brighton game last season, I feel, was like a really good example of it. We were winning 1-0 at half-time. We did very good. But then Brighton put on the pressure in the second half. Okay, we were struggling, but we were actually holding on to that goal. But couldn't hold on to it for the whole thing. Eventually, Brighton score. And then we crumble and Brighton score again. And that was displayed in more than one game last season. So it's huge to sign someone that is safe hands between your sticks. And Donnarumma, there probably isn't many safer for his price as well, to be honest. So I absolutely do want Donnarumma. Gotta go for him.
So one last thing to just say. Are you predicting us to win the Premier League if we get Donnarumma, or are you predicting us to finish 5th, as some people are putting us? Have you seen that?
5th? Back So
yes, what? Some people are putting us 5th.
What, so Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea?
I don't even know, bro. I don't even know. If you, I'm just going to say it. If I see anyone put Man City 5th next season, I'm going to go to your house and slap you, bro. Like, what are you doing? Like, get off the cocaine. We finished 3rd last season in our worst season since takeover. So if I see anyone putting us 5th, I think I'm going to slap them.
Yeah. But in terms of can City win the Premier League if we signed Donnarumma? Yeah, go on then. Will we? Yeah. Go on then. Why not? Why not? I predict us. I predict us to win the season. I predict us to win the league almost every season. This is the one season I haven't, so I might as well take this prediction. Go on then.
So there you go. Connect. As you know, the best source of information in the world is YouTubers. Don't worry about experts. It's YouTubers. So Connect, as a YouTuber, and I myself have predicted if we sign Donnarumma, we will win the Premier League, which might as well make it an objective fact at this point. So there you go. One last question, actually. I say for the second time before I actually end this. Do you think we're going to get someone else, a rider back with something, or do you think it's done with Donnarumma and Rodrigo?
I don't know. It just depends how big we look at someone like Rico. I would say yes, due to the selling of Rico, but don't think we will though, because of that post I saw the other day. That Pep sees his core right back options as Nunes, John Stones, and Akanji. Rico started out as a right back for us, and Pep's not including him in that. Okay, kind of showing.
I'm guessing then if Rico leaves, even if we get someone, it will probably be a midfielder, right?
If anything, it's probably going to be that, just a versatile midfielder that can maybe fill in a few positions, which isn't a bad thing.
Valverde.
Yeah. Valverde. Thinking
Now that's Scorpion.
Yeah, that would be insane. But yeah, that is Scorpion.
Anyhow, that was my honest last question. I think we should be competing. I think it's unfair to ask to win the Premier League when you look at all what Liverpool has done. But we should compete. We should win a trophy. I don't care if it's the Carabao Cup. We should win a trophy. That is my goal for the season. Compete, win something. Now, if we win the Premier League, great. If we win Champions League, great. But I'm not expecting that. I'm just expecting us to compete in those. That is my final thoughts for the season preview. I do think we'll be either second or first. I think we're better than Arsenal. I think we're better than Chelsea. Even without Donnarumma and Rodrigo, I think we're better than those two. So if we add those two, I think the gap grows bigger. But I mean, that's all for me. So unless you have anything else to say.
Nah, but that's basically where I'm at with my wants for the season. I want us to be up there, challenging at least, and I want a trophy. If anything, last season's lack of a trophy should hopefully make the players that are used to winning a bit hungrier now, a bit hungrier to bring back that feeling of winning. So, I'm really hoping that does come into play. But yeah, I absolutely want a trophy. Don't want another trophy this season. And I don't want to lose a third FA Cup final in a row, because that would be embarrassing. Not that the first two weren't.
No. That's how it happens, by the way. No one has ever lost 3 FA Cup finals in a row. Record breaker. Stay good.
Yeah, there you go. Another record broken. Huzzah.
We'll leave it on that. Alfred and chat, guys. And we'll see you guys on the next one.